All right, today we're diving into something that's been making waves online. It's a story that pieces together a series of really mysterious, frankly alarming plane crashes in India. And believe me, it raises some pretty unsettling questions about what's actually going on in the skies over there.
And the video we're looking at, well, it doesn't waste any time. It kicks things off with this really blunt statement. It's designed to grab you, to immediately set this very grim stage and make you think, wow, something is seriously wrong here.
So, where does this whole story start? It all kicks off with one single shocking event. We're talking about a crash so big, so high profile, that it sent these waves of concern and suspicion all across the country right away. Okay, so the date is January 28th, 2026. Picture this. A private chartered jet is on its final approach to land, and then it just goes down. Now, the key thing here, the thing the video really hammers home, is who was on board. Because of that, there was no way this was just going to be written off as some tragic random accident.
And this is what makes this crash just so explosive. I mean, we're not talking about a regular commercial flight here. This was a private jet, and it was carrying Maharashtra's Deputy Chief Minister, Ajit Pawar. And, according to the source material, tragically, there were no survivors. But here's the thing. The video argues this crash wasn't just a one-off, not at all. It's presented as, well, like the latest piece falling into place in a much, much bigger and, frankly, much more disturbing puzzle. And this really gets to the heart of the matter, the core question the video wants you to ask. The argument they make is pretty straightforward, right? These private jets, they're incredibly expensive. They're maintained like you wouldn't believe. They're just not supposed to fall out of the sky for no reason. So to really build this case, the source starts connecting the dots. It looks back to 2021, to that helicopter crash that killed India's top military general, Bipin Rawat. Then it points to these more recent reports from Air India pilots who've been talking about strange interference during their flights. And now you add this crash, the Deputy Chief Minister's jet. And suddenly, what looks like a pattern starts to merge, a really troubling one.
And once you see that alleged pattern, the video argues, you get to a really crucial point. And that is a deep, deep suspicion of any official story that's going to come out about what happened. This really sets up the central conflict of the whole narrative. On one hand, you've got the official story you'd expect to hear, right? Technical failure, maybe pilot error. But on the other hand, there's this much, much darker interpretation, deliberate sabotage, some kind of external interference, and maybe even a coordinated cover-up. The source claims there's almost a script, a predictable playbook that follows these kinds of crashes. The black box? Oh, it goes missing, or the data is corrupted. The official investigation, it just drags on, never really concluding. Key evidence gets lost. And maybe, just maybe, anyone who saw something is quietly silenced. Okay, so if we're meant to believe these aren't just accidents, then the next question is the big one, isn't it? Who is doing this? Who could be responsible for bringing down these planes? Now, the video doesn't pretend to have all the answers. It's not saying here's exactly who did it, but it does dive into several pretty chilling possibilities. We're talking everything from geopolitical payback all the way to some kind of advanced high-tech warfare. Basically, the source lays out three main theories. First theory, it's retaliation from another country. The video even points a finger, suggesting the US might be angry about a new trade deal India made with Europe. Second theory, it's an inside job, some kind of domestic shadow network trying to cause chaos and destabilize the country. And the third theory, it's a whole new kind of war, technological warfare. And on that tech warfare angle, the video really zeroes in on one specific threat that apparently Air India pilots have been reporting. It's called GPS spoofing. And what that means in simple terms is that someone from the outside can trick a plane's navigation system, basically hijacking it without ever stepping foot on board. And just listen to this, which is based on what pilots have apparently said. It's absolutely terrifying. Imagine being in the cockpit. You're a pilot, you're in control, and then suddenly you're not. Your screens say you're over Nepal, then Afghanistan, but you know you're not. It's that feeling of your multi-million-dollar plane being taken over by a ghost in the machine. Okay, and then the story takes a bit of a strange turn. To add another layer to this whole web of suspicion, the video brings up an Indian astrologer. Apparently, this person predicted that the years from 2024 to 2026 would be just awful for aviation.
They even supposedly warned of a bug crash involving a major public figure happening in January. Kind of spooky, right? So, what's the big takeaway here? The video's point is that it's the cumulative effect of all of this. You take all these incidents, you throw in the predictions, and what you get, they claim, is a real, tangible climate of fear, a sense of crisis that's spreading across India.
And it's not just a vibe or a feeling. We're talking real-world consequences. The video points out that at one point, something like 1,200 flights got canceled across the country. That's not just an inconvenience. That's what the source calls a full-blown aviation crisis.
But ultimately, the narrative argues this isn't really about planes or technical failures. It's about power. The crash of a deputy chief minister's jet? Well, that's framed as a message, a warning. And it's being delivered in the most dramatic, most terrifying way you could possibly imagine. And this is where the source really raises the stakes. It asks this incredibly provocative question. The logic is simple and chilling. If they can take down a well-protected deputy chief minister in a private jet, then what's to stop them from targeting the prime minister himself? And that's the thought the video leaves you with. It's this really unsettling question that goes beyond just politics or conspiracies. It hits at a much more fundamental feeling, our sense of security. In a world where there might be these unseen forces at play, the source is basically asking, who's really in control? And more importantly, who is truly safe?